And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben, and this is my movie review for Dynasty Warriors, a new Netflix film. Let's jump into it. This movie is adapted from the internet game of the same title. The story is set in turbulent late Eastern Han Dynasty. Ambitious Dong Zhuo controls the court, and heroes from all over the country begin to rise. There are a cornucopia of Dynasty Warrior games. It's one of those hack and slash games where you have so many characters on screen, and the character you choose, you normally have a plethora of characters, and whatever character you choose will have special abilities. You'll get a legendary weapon eventually. You'll upgrade your character, and you'll be able to take on many foes. That's kind of the calling card of those games, just taking on whole armies by yourself, and then meeting those other generals and taking on the bigger, badder bosses midway, and it just gets harder and harder, and it's just hordes and hordes and hordes of bad guys. And those games, it's just been going on forever. There's so many of them. Some are a bit hissed, some are a bit missed. You may not even have heard of it. However, when it comes to martial art films or wirework films, I like them mostly because you have a sort of flair. The costume design, the open world design is normally very massive and epic in nature. And you definitely do get that. Unfortunately, with a lot of these type of films, you get a lot of dumping of exposition to try and catch up your audience to where stuff is going on. If it's really bad, then there'll be a whole bunch of exposition dumps throughout the film, not just for character development, but to explain to you what's going on in the world, because there's a lot going on. So you're building world, but you're telling rather than showing. And this film definitely has that. It has that in buckets and spades. This film also suffers from some terrible CGI in places. There's a particular shot at the beginning where there's a spanned full army, and it just looks like a sped up video game. And if you go back and watch Blade 2 now, there's a moment where Blade is fighting like a ninja vampire, and you can see where it's sped up and it looks CGI. It has that some similar sort of effect. But the reason why you'll be watching this probably is because you like those epic wirework fight scenes, and the wirework in this in particular is fantastic, really fun. The costume design with those wirework is a lot of fun to watch. So if we're talking about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, House of Flying Daggers, those sort of films, you want epic, but you want beautifully shot as well. And it is well shot, although there are some edited scenes in this where it's sped up so fast and really close cut. It reminded me a little bit of the Transformers movies, where they have built everything, they filmed everything, but they're cutting it close to make it look and feel more frenetic than it needs to be. They've shot everything, so why don't they just zoom out and allow you to see the action rather than just make it so fast that you can't actually see what's going on? And that for me was the opening of this film, and I got a little bit worried. And then they did a whole bunch of exposition dumping, world building, and it took a long time to get to any of the action. And that for me is why I go into these films. I want to see the costume designs, I want to see the world, but generally the politics, if it goes on like it is, like it's done in this film, then I kind of lose my way a bit. My mind starts to wander, I start to clock watch. It's over 2 hours long, and I'm like, when am I going to get to those big epic scenes, for the reason why I love to watch these films. And that's not to say the people, the actors and the choreographing isn't good when it's done well. There's a couple of fight scenes, one particular like 10 to 15 minute fight scene at the end that is worth your wait. One of the biggest faux pas that this film does is it doesn't complete any storyline. You get to a moment where certain characters have fought each other, they've met for the first time, the bad guy has gone off, the another bad guy has gone off, and all our characters are kind of left going, oh, we've got to wait for the next chapter. We don't even know if we're going to get another film from Netflix doing the Dynasty Warrior films, depending on how many people watch and how popular it is. I'm guessing it's a Netflix film in the UK and the US, but probably elsewhere it's their original film. Netflix bought the rights, I guess, maybe something like that. So hopefully they've already greenlit a number of these films so that we can get at least a completion of the storyline. Other than that, I would say you would do well maybe if you just wanted for the action scenes, skip through and find those moments that you think that you're going to enjoy. You'll probably see it. There is some character development that's half interesting, but there's a lot of dialogue dumping, which is the worst thing you can do in a film like this. The story is you show, you don't tell. And so you show it, you can even have that exposition dumping when they are on a journey, when they're doing stuff. There was one particular moment that I really enjoyed where the generals are gathered together, the kind of the rebel group that are going to take back their kingdom, and there's a fight scenes that reminded me of stuff like Troy, when you have a one big giant taunting the other army and there's this standoff, and that for me was the most entertaining moment. You'll know it when you see it. So there are moments that stand out that make the film fun to watch. The costumes are great. The story drags. The editing is iffy at places. There is some CGI issues, but if you love the wire work and the martial arts, you're going to enjoy this. Another thing I didn't like, I feel like I'm coming down really hard on this film, but some of the score or soundtrack, they had like electric guitar, a rock almost music, synth, not even synth, it's just that kind of mixture of music that you don't equate for this time period. And so they're obviously trying to bring it into the modern front, but it isn't a modern era film. They're trying to do something interesting and make it more, I don't know, exciting. For me, most of the time that didn't work either. So I was just like, why have you done that? I understand maybe it's a nod to the game because the games often had different music similar to that, but it just didn't feel like it worked. It's not historically accurate. There's magic, there's superpowers. There's one particular fight scene that feels like you're watching Harry Potter and Jedi with superpowers flying about. I mean, that's fun, and I can get behind that. At least if you give me a complete storyline and help me understand the storyline somewhat. So I'm just going to go down the middle path here and give it a C minus. There are action scenes that I enjoyed. I am a fan of the games, but I don't think the film was that good. Thanks so much for watching this, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.